Hey, so since you're here watching this video, chances are that you study English online in some capacity. Maybe you are part of an online course or a group online. Maybe you study with a teacher, or maybe you study on your own by using channels like this or following teachers over on Instagram. Whatever the case is, there's a lot of fantastic material and information out there. But at the same time, there is some material that is not so great. So if you use the internet to practice English, to learn English, to study English, there are a few things that you do need to beware, or at least be aware of. And that's what we're going to talk about today. 3 things that you need to be aware of when you are studying English online. Now, the purpose of today's video is just to help you think critically and to be more aware of the material and the content that you are consuming and that you are choosing to spend your time on online. Like I said, there's so much, first of all, so much information in general out there. It can be kind of hard to know what is helpful and what is harmful. It can be difficult to choose the best resources and the best sources and the best materials for you, all right? So the purpose of this video is not to insult any of the material or the teachers or the creators out there. There are so many amazing teachers out there and amazing creators who put out fantastic content. It is just to help you as an English learner think a little bit more critically and just be aware of the material that you're using on this English learning journey. And critical thinking is actually a really important part of learning anything, including learning English. So the ability to think critically doesn't come naturally to everyone. It's not something that everyone has learned. And I think that it's extremely important. So that's why we are looking at some of the things that you need to be aware of. So the first thing that you need to be a little bit careful with is posts and videos that tell you to stop saying common phrases in English. For example, if you see a video that says, "Stop saying you are welcome," as an English learner, you might think, okay, people don't say you're welcome that often, or it's not that common, or maybe it's outdated. It's a little bit harmful for you as a learner to see headings like this all over the place. And I see them all over the internet. Stop saying hello, stop saying you're welcome, stop saying thank you, stop saying yes. These are very common words. Of course, you do not need to stop saying these things. Instead, when you come across content or material like this, just think critically about it. Usually, what the teacher is actually trying to say is that here are some other ways to say this common phrase. So for example, instead of saying you're welcome, you could say, "Don't worry about it, no worries, no problem, my pleasure." But you can always just say you're welcome as well. That's extremely common. Now, titles like this or headings like this are very catchy. They are very trendy. They're kind of like clickbait. And clickbait is a thumbnail or a title that basically gets you or encourages you to click on something, a video, a post, or whatever. So headings like "don't say this" or "stop saying this" or "never say this again" are quite inaccurate. Generally, the teachers are just trying to tell you that here are some other ways that you can say this. Here are some other common ways to say this, giving you alternatives, all right? So just be aware of that when you come across videos or posts or content like this. The next thing to be aware of or be careful with or think critically about is crazy promises like speak fluently in 3 hours, or learn grammar in 1 hour, or speak like a native speaker in 2 weeks, okay? When you see promises or guarantees or things like this, and they sound or look too good to be true, That is probably because they are, all right? Now, if you look at these statements critically, you think logically and realistically about what you are seeing, it will actually end up saving you a lot of time. Now, we as humans always want to find shortcuts and the easy way to do things. That is normal, that is natural. We want to do things fast, we want to get things done, right? And even though we read statements like this, we know that that's not going to happen or it's very unlikely, but we tend to click on it anyways, even though we know that this is a false promise and it's just not going to happen. Again, this is more of a marketing strategy and more of clickbait. And honestly, in my opinion, it's a little bit more harmful than helpful because it sets up this unrealistic expectation for English learners who are trying to find content and material that's really going to help them. Imagine, for example, you are trying to lose weight and you see a video or a post that says lose 20 pounds in 7 days, right? And there's a picture of a beautiful, super fit fitness trainer or whatever. And even though you know that that's probably not going to happen, you click on it anyway. It's the same concept, right? So this is normal behavior, and content like this exists because people look at it, because it works, right? It gets people's attention. But again, I just want to encourage you to think critically about these types of programs and promises and videos even when you come across them. And the third thing to look out for, just be careful of, is anyone or anything that tells you that you should speak like a native speaker, or you have to speak like a native speaker, or speaking like a native speaker is the best way to go, or it should be your end goal, or whatever the case. This is just simply not true. In fact, in a lot of English-speaking countries, a big part of our culture is actually respect and acceptance of other cultures, of other people, of other religions, of other languages, of other lifestyles. That is a big part of culture, at least in Canada. And so with this in mind, if this is a fundamental part of our culture, it would be unreasonable to expect everybody to speak like a native English speaker. And honestly, it's just unnecessary. We're past that point in our world and in our society. Now, of course, I am aware that this is not the case everywhere in the world. Prejudice exists, racism exists, discrimination exists, absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's just a language. It doesn't make anyone better than anyone else. If you're a native English speaker, a non-native English speaker, it just doesn't matter. If you think about the bigger picture, if you think about your career, your professional life, your friends, the language that you speak as your first language doesn't determine your success in any of those areas. If I want to hire someone to do a job for me, to work with me, their first language doesn't matter. It matters to me if they're able to communicate with me and do the job well. That's it. That's what matters to me. When it comes to friends, it absolutely doesn't matter if you speak English or if you speak another language. It just doesn't matter. My partner is a non-native English speaker. He's Italian. It just makes no difference in reality. At the end of the day, it is a language. It doesn't make one person more intelligent than another. It doesn't make one person better than another. So any content or material that makes you feel like you have to speak like a native English speaker, I would just say to, again, think critically about it. With all of this being said, again, I want to remind you that the purpose of today's video is only to help you think critically, exercise your critical thinking when it comes to English learning content online. We have come a very long way, and there is a lot of fantastic information and resources available, but there's always going to be some that's not as good. So just look at things with a critical eye. Think about what's really helpful and what is potentially harmful or misleading for you. Because it's up to you to decide what type of content you spend your time watching and consuming and what's really, really going to help you. Now, I would love to learn about some of the English pages that you find helpful. Please do share them with us down below in the comments. I'm sure they'll help others as well. If you have any questions on today's topic, drop it down below as well. Don't forget to grab your free ebook, English Conversations Made Simple. I will also link that down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, for spending time with me today, and I hope that this video inspired you and made you think a little bit differently. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.